When we began as a team of 3 people in 1997 with only one client, we had no idea where the journey would take us.
It's so exciting to see, the number of campaigns that we've done and to just see the evolution of PR. It's so exciting just, what we have in front of us.
And I'd like to dedicate this award to all the women that have come before me and to the ones that come after me.
So I'm going to appeal to, all the Kenyan corporates out there, individuals that want to come and help. There's so much to do.
My name is Gina Din Kariuk. I'm firstly a mother of 2. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a real advocate for Africa. I'm a bit of an evangelist for shaping African conversations. I'm the founder of the Gina Din Group, and I'm an authority in the PR industry.
Yeah. I think, the heads of state also need to, for us to get to knowledge-based economy.
I travel a lot. There's so many places that I want to see. And so I'm a bit of a nomad when it comes to that. I'm always on a plane, discovering, exploring, and that I do for fun. I'm a foodie. I have lots of friends that I spend time with and just really let loose and chill and laugh. I laugh a lot. For me, it's what's really been such a blessing is that my work and my play has not been too different. I've so enjoyed my work. I've so enjoyed what I do that I never felt that it was any different to the Gina that's at play. And I think I'm very, very lucky.
When we began as a team of 3 people in 1997 with only one client, we had no idea where the journey would take us.
I started 23 years ago after 14 years at Barclays. So if you look at that, it's a long time. But I started out as a dream, with no capital, no plan. It might not be written out as a business plan, but dreams are plans. And for me, I was following my dream, and I went on to build this incredible organization that has done some amazing work, built some very interesting brands, but also helped me grow as a person, because as I was developing my own brand, I was also developing the PR industry. Because don't forget, 23 years ago, there really wasn't much of a PR industry, right? We handled Safaricom. I learned a lot about airlines because we handled Kenya Airways. I learned a lot about, the monetary policy because I handled central banks. So I just became a little bit of an expert on many, many areas. And I think that is what is so wonderful about this industry, is that you become a little expert in very many different things.
So 21 years it's been since I started the Gina Din Group, and it's been such a great 21 years. It's so exciting to see, the number of campaigns that we've done. And
I really felt that, as Africans, we don't really own our own stories. And if you look at a lot of the books that are written on Africa, are written by white people who are African experts. So there was very little out there from an African point of view, and I really feel very strongly that as Africans we must own our own narrative, we must tell our stories, and we must own them. And we must move on from, just seeing stories about hunger and famine and corruption and conflict to some of the more successful stories that we have on this continent. We have some really incredible, successful stories, and I want to be one of the people that tells those stories. So I started the YouTube channel as a storytelling opportunity and platform where I can highlight some of the incredible people that I have met, that I've been very fortunate to interact with, but so that Africans have a platform in which we can tell our own stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, this young lady is 19 years old. And she already has a school developing apps, but I'm not going to tell you anything more than that because I'm going to wait for you to watch it on the program. But
I've just had some really interesting people, very different. So I think that's what's so beautiful about it, is that there's not one type of person that we're looking at. So we've had Masai, we've had, Michael Joseph, we've had some incredible women. It's just been an all-rounder story and points of view of different people. So I intend to carry on doing that. I'm very, very lucky to have been able to attract some of the people that we've had on shaping African conversations.
Actually, the work we do with our 4 pillars, the first pillar is about you, your personality and your character.
I've had such incredible interactions with the most amazing people. I've met really, really true leaders. I've been able to sit at a table with people that you only see in newspapers or whatever, and had one-on-one conversations with them. We've done some really interesting work as a business. I'm so proud of the team that we've had. They have been incredibly committed, and they've gone on to do wonderful things themselves. So I just feel very, very satisfied that I've created some leaders as opposed to followers. But yeah, work-wise, Safaricom, building that industry was fascinating. Not just building the brand, but people didn't even know about the mobile industry when Safaricom were launching. So for me, that was a very important part of my journey. But there's been lots.
The 2016 Gold Stevie Award winner is Gina Din Kariuk, founder and executive chair of the Gina Din Group of Nairobi, Kenya.
When we got recognized globally, for PR work that we'd done that had competed amongst the best in the world, I think there's definitely a certain amount of pride in that, just to say, I'm being judged by the best companies, probably even Edelman, so it's really for me that was probably one of my very, very high moments, and I won several international awards after that, but I definitely think the first one was amazing.
Gina Din Group is a PR-driven communications agency. It has redefined the PR industry in the region by building some of the most influential brands and developing strategic social campaigns.
I felt a real sense of responsibility and a sense of having to go through this journey so that we could make other people comfortable. But yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. It's been difficult at times, and of course I've had my moments, like I don't want to do this anymore. But it was also out of figuring out what I was going to do. You can't just build a brand for 23 years and then not put it somewhere. It was, where does the brand go? Because this for me is not a vanity project, it's a legacy project. And for me, this is my legacy. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey, and I'm so pleased to be here in New York. You have to definitely evolve as a person. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of being ahead of the curve, making sure that global trends are, we can embrace them and we can pick them up and we can move. So we have always done that. I think the digital revolution was huge for us, because don't forget, before that was a press release. You're waiting for 4 o'clock. Press used to be, newspapers used to be printed at that time. So it was fine. After that you could actually go home and chill. And now suddenly you've got digital, and there's no chill time. It's 24/7. You have to be totally responsive, but also getting organizations to understand why they must have social media and why they have to respond and why it has to be, it has to be a lot of engagement. So that's been quite challenging for us, but we've always managed to lead. We've always driven the market, not really been market driven. And I think that's been a real benefit to us.
Now when you look back, the decisions that we made were very wise decisions, but at the time they were not wise decisions, and many times we discussed, what should we do? It was more than just
intuitive.
A PR agency, it was more, look, what should we do? Do you think we should do this?
I think for me, I was able to bring value to the table in terms of strategic communications to corporates, and I think that's the difference in what people assume that we would do. Sometimes the client doesn't even know themselves, and we look at ourselves as the people that provide solutions. So they'd come to us with a problem, and maybe their problem wasn't even what they thought the problem was. And we would be able to give them, what we think the problem is, whether it's reputational, whether it's brand building, whether it's a crisis. So I think for me, it was very challenging initially because people just didn't know anything about this field. They knew a lot about advertising, but PR, standalone PR was like, no, we're really not sure about that.
When I set out, my intention was to create my dream job. I have been very lucky and blessed instead to have created a dream life.
Having your own business, being a founder, it's a very lonely journey. It's a solitary journey because you're in it by yourself. You've got no one else that's taking the risks that you're taking. So it is hard, and the load is very, very heavy. Even if you're carrying it off what seems like effortlessly and beautifully, that doesn't mean that the load isn't heavy. It's extremely heavy. So Edelman is the most incredible company, and I think, I always say you're judged by the company you keep, and I definitely kept a very great company. So Edelman are amazing. They are the #1 in the world. They're a perfect fit for the Gina Din brand. And I'm very excited to stay on with them as an advisor, not just for Kenya, but for the whole of the Africa continent. So that totally fits in with my vision and with shaping African conversations. And I do probably think they're the only one of the large PR companies that has someone totally dedicated to Africa. So I think for us as a business, it's so exciting just, what we have in front of us in the next few months. At some point, there has to be an exit, and if it's an exit could be that you are going to give your brand to your children. None of my children were really interested in that because they both have their own incredible dreams. And it would just be really, not very fair for me to make them follow my dream because Gina Din is my dream, and so for me, this was a totally perfect way to carry on my legacy in the PR industry, but to also increase the footprint by partnering with the best in the world. And I'm so excited by what's happening with Edelman. I'm so excited to continue this journey. It's a very, very interesting and exciting time.